Italian Wine Podcast. Chin Chin with Italian wine people.
Hello, this is the Italian Wine Podcast. My name is Monty Waldin. My guest today is Gill Gordon-Smith. Gill is based in her native Australia and swapped a very happy career in the airline industry for small-scale wine growing in her native Australia and also wine education. Gill, it's great to speak with you again. You are a living and breathing acronym. You're a great student. You're a great teacher. So hopefully you're going to tell us a little about your previous career and then how you got into wine. Having your own vineyard.
So I've had a few incarnations in my lifetime. So I grew up in McLaren Vale and was in the wine industry when I was quite young. So working cellar door at 15 illegally. And I somehow ended up in the air for Qantas, flying with Qantas for 20 years and flying around the world, tasting and trying different wines. And
So you were just telling us a little bit about your early days.
Yes, my flying career, flying drinking. I actually flew around the world just tasting and visiting different wine regions. Just actually, it was fantastic. I called it the Qantas Scholarship because it just kept giving. And I left in 2009 and jumped back into wine in quite a big way and started a new label called Fall from Grace, also a bottle shop which sold international wines. So that was and minimal intervention wines too in McLaren Vale, which was a bit of a very interesting thing to do in McLaren Vale. I used to have winemakers come and taste wines and pour them down the gutter because they weren't used to the different flavours or couldn't imagine those sorts of wines. But we've been 10 years now in the region.
So that must have been quite a big thing in those days, the fact that you live in a very well-known and very well-respected wine region in Australia. You travel the world, you fell in love with wine more, via your airline experience. And then you come back and not saying educating the natives, but you've obviously been a force for sort of diversity, really.
For sure, because we've now been in business for 10 years and we've got a bottle shop now and a big tasting garden and bar. And we're the place where the locals now come to search out those sorts of wines, which is fantastic. But it wasn't always like that. But especially because, McLaren Vale, 80% of McLaren Vale Shiraz, and we have about 6% Grenache. And in those days, we were just starting to plant alternate varieties. Mark Lloyd was planting Sangiovese, of course. He'd spent a lot of time initially. We had alternate varieties being planted here, which was fantastic for the Vale, and I think really started to show that innovative side because we're a coastal region. We're not very far from the sea. In fact, when you look down from the top of the Victory Hotel, which is our big pub, which has got a fantastic cellar, you'd swear you're in Sicily or Sardinia. It's just a really beautiful region and one that's really embraced alternate varieties and a region that's very Italian in nature. So we have the Barossa, which is very German.
It's interesting that you've planted Montepulciano in your little vineyard. I mean, you talk about the sea, and you got the sea on one side in Australia where you are, and also hills on the other, which is not dissimilar. Yeah. And so was that why you planted Montepulciano, because it reminded you of Abruzzo?
I think at the time, we're just looking for varieties that could handle the heat and didn't need, a lot of water. And Italian varieties really fit the bill. And also we have about 600 people from Italian descent living in McLaren Vale. So it was a very Mediterranean area. So it fitted our food, those sort of styles of wines fitted our lifestyle. And now I think, we've got about 48 growers growing Nera d'Avola. We're growing Montepulciano. We're growing lots of Sangiovese now, a few other different interesting whites. Fiano's become a fantastic white for McLaren Vale because we're not a region well known for our white wines. I think, there's only about one decent Chardonnay that we make in the region. So we've really been a red wine region. So Italian grapes and Mediterranean varieties have made a real difference and been embraced by some amazing winemakers.
When did the Italian influx begin? Was it in the last century or was it later than that?
For Italians coming into McLaren Vale in the 40s, really, when a lot of Italians settled in the region. I mean, a lot of Italians came into Australia sort of in the gold rush and then in the 40s. So in McLaren Vale especially, we had a lot of Italians settle here because they, it reminded them of home. So we have a lot of people from Molise and Abruzzo living here. And, we have a really awesome lifestyle. Lots of olive groves. There's amazing olive oil grown here. Lots of really great seafood and a pretty good lifestyle actually. It's actually been a reasonable place to be locked down.
So the Italian contingent. Sorry to keep on about this, but do they also sort of cook Italian as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Give us some typical dishes that they cook, and with your local wines as well as Italian wines. Some of your favourite food.
We're sort of, we have lots of amazing wood-fire pizza restaurants here. We have lots of squid, so beautiful. Oh, salt and pepper squid is just fantastic. It's just caught in the Gulf out here. Lots of pasta. It's really, we actually have a bocce club, and once a month they have a big pasta bake-up. So we have, some fantastic restaurants, all seasonal foods like Slopian Inn. I don't know. Have you been to the Slopian Inn when you came to McLaren Vale?
I don't remember that.
No, just a fantastic regional restaurant, just using, amazing produce. It goes really well with the wines that we grow here.
Tell me about your love of studying and your love of teaching.
Yes, I do. I really love to study. I love to challenge myself. I'm sort of fairly competitive with myself. And
you are a walking acronym. You've got so many letters after your name. IWE, BIA.
Well, that's the most important one. That was the most exciting one because that was the most challenging one.
Run through about all three of those. So what is an IWE?
That is an Italian wine expert with Vinicius Academy, which is fantastic. And that was the most exciting. It was hard. It was awful. I failed the first time and then came back and tried again and then tried for expert and I think got about 87 points in that one. And then in Hong Kong in 2018, I made a decision to really, put my head down and pass. So it was a fantastic experience. So I had to pass the exam and then come back and pass the blind tasting.
Have you always been a good student?
Yeah, I have. I was one of those awful kids at school that always studied and really enjoyed it.
You seem, like I'm not saying a party animal, but you combine fun with sort of seriousness, and that's what makes you such a fascinating person to be with. No, but you'd be such a great teacher, because you get your point across very well and very clearly, and you can identify with people that struggle with education, and that's why it's so good to have you in the program. What makes a good student?
Well, gosh, I just think anybody that's really passionate or inquiring, has an inquiring mind, and just keen. I love seeing people succeed, especially the ones that when they first, come to a class or a session are not confident, but they really put the effort in and they work really hard and they get good results. No, it's great. I really enjoy it. I've got a few more years left in me, but I think I've been teaching now for well over 20 years.
Do you get feedback from students who obviously have done the learning bit and then they work up, for example, in a hotel or a bar or a restaurant selling Italian wines? Have they seen a pickup in purchases of those wines because the person talking about the wine actually knows what he or she is talking about and has that enthusiasm? Has that been a sort of a...
Definitely. We run a lot of courses for professionals or, professional development courses. And to see people when they're confident about a particular wine or a particular region, so easy to sell it because, you can answer queries. It's just having that empowering people. So you definitely see that pick up. And I know that, Ian Harris would have talked about that when he spoke to Ian, because there is a real difference when you empower people and give them tools and give them the information. They can pass that on to the customer and definitely increase sales. Because just recommending different wines. If you like this wine, you're going to love this wine. Or if you drink Sauvignon Blanc, you may enjoy Vermentino or Grillo. So I think it's fantastic. It's a really good tool, and I love it. I'm at the end of a big year though. This is the first year I haven't been on a plane in about 42 years, and just being in one place, I have just been constantly on the go this year. It's we had a little bit of a break during our first lockdown, but it's just been so busy. It's crazy. We've had more students than ever teaching virtually, of course, which has been a fantastic experience and a good learning experience for us and for the students. It's a really different ball game. Have you been doing homeschooling?
Yeah, we have a little bit. I mean, my son's actually physically in school now because they can social distance and because we've got a low risk in our area. So he's very lucky that they've got that face-to-face contact with both their friends and also the teachers. So that's pretty good. When you're judging wine, what do you look for?
Well, I look for a couple of things. I mean, I always look for balance and I like texture. I look for texture. So good balance, good texture. I like a good balance between the fruit and the structural elements, but also drinkability is the main thing I look for. I want to, when I'm judging wines, especially if I'm, Wine Without Walls is just the most fantastic judging experience because you really get to look at personalities of wines and how they make you feel. And so for me, I look at all the standard things. We've all had trained palates, but it's that extra factor, that beauty and that uniqueness are the things I look for.
So you like the Wine Without Walls? Just the Wine Without Walls section is basically the organic and biodynamic and natural wines that are judged separately in Italy International, and it's good that we've got them separate. I mean, do you think that's good that they're on their own little table, or do you think they should be melded in with all the other wines?
Yeah, I think it's good that they're looked at on their own in their own section because we look for a few different things than you would in just the traditional normal wines. I mean, I just love the fact that everybody gets even quite excited about on other tables. They come and bring things over to us all the time and say this should be in your section, and that always makes me laugh because I think we have some of the most pure and beautiful wines in that section.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I find them easier to judge, the organic and biodynamic and natural, because they're normally less alcohol and they've got a much nicer acidic spine.
Oh, and that beautiful freshness.
So this is kind of like an advert for organic and natural wine at the moment. We will move on to a less salubrious topic. Is there still a lot of mansplaining in the wine industry? Do you find that? I mean,
oh God,
give us some examples. Come on.
Oh dear, no, I won't start. But yeah, absolutely. I've just recently I had to do a speech for an award that I received, and I decided to be really quite honest and blunt in it. And it was received really well. And I was talking a little bit about the lack of diversity in our wine industry and in a lot of the wine industry around the world, and about the fact that there was not a lot of women, and especially in the natural wine sort of scene. I was at a tasting a couple of months ago, and I looked around the room, and I was again after 10 years of going to these tastings, the only woman in the room. And the other girl that was going to be coming couldn't get a babysitter. So I actually got the shits on a little bit because I thought, there's so many amazing female winemakers or just winemakers who happen to be female in our region. And they just seem to be overlooked. And that does give me the pip, actually. It irks my pickle. So, I've sort of challenged some people to do something about it. So, we're really working hard to try and get more women out there in the industry. And personally, this vintage, I'm going to have a couple of young female students working in our little winery on their own project. So doing a bit of a cooperative project because I think we need to push women forward and make seats at the table for them. And unless we get pushy and unless people like me who are getting older and really don't care what other people think at the moment, say a few things and speak out, I don't think it's going to change. So, I think there's a lot of mansplaining going on in the industry and a lot of women just get on and do it.
Yeah, I mean, probably going a bit off topic, but my editor, one of my main writing things is Decanter, and I have a female editor there. And obviously you've got Jancis and Julia, who are sort of beacons of brilliant journalism and writing. And then you kind of look around and you think, there are so many noisy males, and we need a few more females to come through. I don't know how that's going to happen, but hopefully it will. So we did the mansplaining. So what talking about mansplaining is one thing, but what about what annoys you the most in wine writing? Style of wine writing or the topics that they've chosen?
It's funny. I always used to, I used to follow quite a few different wine writers, and I like to hear stories about the people and the stories behind the wine. I really don't. I think, we can all make up our own minds about whether we, like particular wines or what we think of them, but I really like to hear about the stories. So writers, that interested in the people behind the wines, they're the ones that I enjoy the most. Love Andrew Jeffrey. I love the way he wrote. But I don't read these days a lot of wine writers. I'm sort of I have a couple of people I follow, but I don't really even follow reviews.
Have you thought about writing a sort of autobiography about your time in the sky and
Oh, don't. It's yeah, I have got some stories, but that will require a drink on a few of those. But yeah, I've had a great old life Qantas was fantastic. I met so many wonderful people. I had, a lot of fun, and it took, when I left, it took a while to sort of get over that. I still miss the crew. I actually started during COVID. I started a little wine group with some of the Qantas crew that were laid off because, of course, all the airlines lost their jobs. So we had about a key group of about 30 people every Tuesday night. Started off for 4 weeks and ended up about 25. And we're still meeting every now and then on a Tuesday and talking about wine. So, the Qantas family has really stuck around for a long time. It's was an amazing life, and it makes me quite sad to think that, a lot of young people won't ever get the chance to do that, because I don't think we'll fly the way we've been flying. We won't be travelling the way we've been travelling. It's been something I've been really thinking about during this period, because I miss Italy so much. I didn't, I've probably 4 or 5 times a year I've been travelling to Italy over the last 20 years, and really missed it. I mean, missing out on the craziness of in Italy. We were really, excited about coming over, and that's just been something that I've really, really missed this year, is just, coming over, seeing all our friends, hanging out with everybody, having just such a, a great time. It's such a beautiful culture, and really can't wait to get back.
Final question, probably penultimate question. As a wine grower, how is Australia meeting the challenges regarding climate change?
We are choosing climate appropriate varieties, which is the word. And I think that, that's something that is really important. We're so lucky to be able to, choose from such a wide variety of grapes now that are in Australia. Chalmers in Mildura, just such a wonderful family that have had a big association with Europe, especially Italy. And they have a great nursery. So they have varieties in there that are just coming out now. So Frapato's a great variety that's going to be planted pretty soon. I think Chalmers have got that in their experimental vineyard. A lot of, that's how we're meeting climate change, really. We're planting in cooler climate areas, so Tasmania, trying to go up a little bit more into the hills, and, where we are, really looking at varieties that are going to work for us and that, don't require a lot of water and can handle the heat, because it's just getting hotter here. It really is. We've had a massive, change in our temperature over the last sort of 20 years. So we have to pick varieties that are going to work for us. We've just had a first major heat wave, Monty, of the season. So I do a podcast with James Hook out in the vineyard once a month called Crop Watch. So we just go and have a look at what's happening. So I think that's these varieties that suit our climate much better. That's going to be our major tool.
Okay, final question. You can have a vineyard anywhere in Italy with any grape variety. Where would you go?
And that's really, really hard. But and I've actually been looking around a lot. I think I'll go to Abruzzo, and I think I would love to have a vineyard there. I think it's really, it's not as well known, of course, as Piemonte and Chianti and where you are in Montalcino, which is just wonderful. But I'd really like to go to Abruzzo, because I think that there's so much to discover in that part of Italy. So that's where I'd be, hanging out with Cristiana Tiberio and the dog, learning an awful lot about Montepulciano and Trebbiano d'Abruzzese, and that's where I'd really like to be, I think.
Interesting, because it's a very much maligned region, just thought of as bulk wines, white or red, and often with those bulk areas, there are actually jewels hidden away that people often ignore. So I think that's a very interesting choice that you've made in Australia. Obviously, for your climatic situation, it makes sense what you're doing, and of course, it seems natural that you would want to go there, gravitate there if you did live in Italy. So anyway, it's really nice to talk to you.
Oh, it's really good to talk to you, and we miss you all so much, and we can't wait to get back there. And I hope you're all staying safe.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get you. If we get you for a third interview, you will be the record-breaking podcast appearance winner. Okay. All right, Gill Gordon-Smith. Take it easy and good luck with all your wine growing and everything else that you do, your educational projects. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, mate. Take care.
You too. Be good to talk after vintage. Goodbye. See you later.
Ciao.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.